So you're tired of the sad state of the medical system right now. You're in your practice, you're working on the electronic medical records till 11 at night. You have all sorts of regulations and you have to see 75 people a day, or else you might get popped out of your job. So you might think, hey, I want to be a medical director of some Medi-Spa. It's easy money. I see hundreds of dollars coming in for Botox. Plus, the best part is there's no insurances that I have to worry about. The person pays me directly, right after services are rendered. Well, on the surface, it sounds very good and very straightforward. But there are a lot of pitfalls to know about if you want to become a medical director of some spa. Hi, I'm Dr. Messina, and in 2005, I opened up Messina Esthetic Medicine and Dr. Undo Tattoo. And over those years, I've become quite knowledgeable about the medical spa industry and some of its major pitfalls for medical directors. People opening a medical spa, in general, don't have any medical education or expertise. Most are not medical professionals. And to function, they have to have a medical director. That's how this whole thing started. Medical procedures given in a spa setting. And unfortunately, over the years, it's become spa settings with medical procedures. And when they offer those medical procedures, if you're the medical director, it falls on your shoulders alone. They make a mistake, it's your problem. They find somebody has an interesting thing on their body and take a picture of it and pop it on Instagram, it's your HIPAA violation. So there are things you better know about before you jump both feet forward into the pool of the medical spa industry. First thing you should do is see if you could do it at all. Check out your state regulations and your state laws. A state like New Jersey is very strict. Only a medical doctor could fire a laser. Some states have very lax laws. But I assure you, every state understands where the practice of medicine begins. Therefore, any injectables like Botox and dermal fillers and some lasers have to be administered by a medical professional only. That's a doctor, a nurse, or a PA, and that's it. The next thing you're going to have to do is find out if your malpractice carrier is going to allow you to add it to the policy. You might be very surprised to find that your malpractice policy has been tailored specifically to your specialty. And if you're, let's say, a radiologist with a radiology malpractice policy, they're going to have a hard time covering you for Botox fillers and lasers. So you might not be able to get malpractice for this. Then you're going to have to check with your current employer. When I first entered medicine in 1986, no physicians were employed by any companies. We had our own private offices. But now you're an employee of a company and you might be part of a big group. And if that group is set up so that you might be responsible for each other's injuries, they might not allow you to have a side gig. So you're going to have to check with your current practice and make sure they don't mind that you're now going to be the medical director of some spa with a lot of non-medical personnel for the most part. Now, should you be able to get the malpractice, you have to look at who you're going to be directing. As a physician, you're supposed to be directing medical procedures, and the only people you're able to direct are medical professionals. Doctor, nurse, PA. That's it. You're not going to really be able to direct estheticians. And if you do, and they have a problem, and that problem ends up in a court of law, it's not only going to be on your shoulders, you're going to be aiding and abetting the illegal practice of medicine. So you have to really be careful in this industry of where you cross the line. What I always found interesting in this field is The same doctors who would say to be in my group, you've got to be board certified. And if you're not board certified, you'll never be a partner and you'll never progress in this group. And that same person will sign their license and their potential life savings on the line for a bunch of non-medical people who suddenly decide to become laser therapists. So it's really important to know not only who you're dealing with, but what is planned. When I say what's planned, you have to look at what that medical spa wants to offer. Are they going to be offering facials? Are they going to be offering chemical peels? If they're offering chemical peels, are they going to be very superficial peels? Or are they going to be medical grade peels? And who's going to be administering them? Are they going to be offering microneedling? And if so, do they understand proper sterile technique and the importance of never reusing needles and other devices of that nature? Are they going to be doing laser therapy? Some states that's considered laser skin surgery and they're not allowed to do it. What type of lasers are they going to be using and what are their qualifications? Signing up for a spa with lasers has its own particular issues. First of all, they're Class 4 medical devices, which means you have to have a valid medical license to purchase it. So if they're asking you to sign on the line to get a laser, you better realize that you're responsible for the use of that laser. Because if anything adverse happens, it's your responsibility. They're going to say, how did you get this Class 4 medical device and how were you using it? And they're going to say, Dr. So-and-so got it for us. Plus, you have to take a look at the financing. These lasers start at about $150,000. So when they're signing on the line, you better look and see who's accountable for the payments on that laser, because you might be unpleasantly surprised should they stop paying for them. Plus, you have to be a laser expert yourself. You can't just say I'm a medical doctor and I'm putting my name into this practice and they're going to be using the lasers. If there's going to be lasers involved, which in some states is considered laser skin surgery, you have to understand the physics behind these lasers, the physiological changes that they cause in the skin, and the indications for each laser. Or else you're going to have some problems should some adverse outcome occur. And then, are you going to be offering Botox and fillers? That's where it really crosses the medical line. Botox and fillers should only be administered by medical professionals, and Botox and fillers should only be purchased through the manufacturers. Allergan, if you're dealing with Botox or Juvederm family drugs, and Glederma, if you're dealing with Dysport and the Restylane family. Now that bottle of Botox should cost about $650, sometimes slightly higher. If they're getting it from Canada, it's going to be under $350, except that's illegal. And if that spa that you signed on is using your name and your license to import these drugs illegally, if anything happens, and believe me, it has happened, you're responsible for it. It's your license on the line and it's your malpractice suit. Then you have to look at what is the training on the staff. The estheticians should go through a state certifying program. The nurse practitioners and the PAs should also have continuing education for the aesthetic field. And that goes for you too, the medical director. In order to be a medical director, you must be knowledgeable and be an expert in what they are offering. You just can't say, I've been a doctor for 35 years, I'm a GP, and I know all this stuff. So before you become the director, make sure that you've taken study programs in the administration of the Botox and the fillers. Make sure you've taken programs about the lasers and how to use them, and microneedling and anything else they might be offering, because it's very important. Plus, you're going to have to sign off on every case. That's another area that's a real pitfall. where these doctors stay home, they collect a monthly check, and before you know it, this spa that's churning over a lot of cases doesn't have your actual signature on any of them. So it's important that you give a lot of time to at least check over every case. It's also going to be very important for you to know exactly who you're dealing with and what quality person you're dealing with. When I say it's important to know who you're working with, I'm going to highlight a case that I was an expert witness on, and it happened in New York. 2 Russian businessmen slammed an internal medicine physician to the point like I had never seen before, and in a court of law with a jury in front of them. They ran a Medi-Spa. They had no medical training, yet they must have had the gift of salesmanship because they managed to get a medical director that had a huge successful medical practice. Unfortunately, that practice took up all his time, and he didn't anticipate this Medi-Spa that was going to be simple little happy things, not thinking that it's truly medicine, was going to call him in the middle of the day. Well, they had caused a burn on a patient, a significant and severe burn. They tried to contact him. They couldn't contact him. In the court of law, we heard from the patient that was injured because her burn became a significant disfiguring industry, and these 2 Russian businessmen. And when the question was asked, did you try to get a hold of the doctor? They joyfully said, we tried to get a hold of that mother... They spoke to the patient. She said, yes, I knew they were trying to get a hold of the doctor. I heard them say... And that was the end of the story for that doctor. He suffered a significant malpractice suit. Not only did he get cited for abandonment, but he allowed completely non-medical person to cause an injury that disfigured a person to the point where a surgical implant became exposed and infected. So you have to really know who you're dealing with. Your staff should be of the utmost professional, even if they're not medical professionals. If you find a doctor who used to be a medical director who refuses to be now, most of the time you're going to hear, I couldn't tolerate it. They had no idea of privacy. They had no idea of HIPAA, and they had no idea of medical malpractice. All of those things are going to fall on your shoulders, by the way, should they be breached. They have to be able to inform each patient properly. There has to be informed consent on every case, on every procedure. And if they offer them the moon and that's not feasible, there's a breach there. And again, it's going to be on you. If a patient comes in with something they find interesting and they take a photograph of that and put it on Instagram because they think it's funny or it looks funny or it's going to get a lot of views, and that patient finds out it's your HIPAA violation, and I do expert witness for medical malpractice in Medi-Spas, and you'll be surprised how high the award could be if one of your staff pops off an embarrassing picture and puts it out for the world to see. And I said before, if you speak to a doctor who says they worked for a medical spa, that's wrong. They're not working for the medical spa. The medical spa has to be working for you. The law is arranged that the doctor is at the apex of this pyramid, and everybody else is taking direction from them. The doctor is not being paid by the nurse injector. The doctor should be paying the nurse injector and not on a percentage of what they bring in. You're now fee splitting. So you have to be aware of what these laws are and how you're being paid and how things are structured in these medical spas. You are not working as a doctor for an esthetician. That esthetician is working for you, Even they supposedly owned that spa. And then finally, I want to get into the costs of running a medical spa. Because if you don't have it structured properly, you could lose a lot of money being the medical director. Remember, all the medical products are being purchased under your license and under your name. So it's going to be important to make sure that the finances aren't blended. Medical spa overhead is astronomical. Laser costs. Lasers should cost $150,000 and up. The monthly payments for them tend to be about $4,000, $4,500 a month. Repair costs through the roof. Maintenance contracts on a laser are 10% of the list price. So a $20,000 a year contract per laser is not unheard of. Plus staff payment. Plus how much does it cost to purchase the Botox and the dermal fillers properly? And that's all going to go under your license and under your name. So you better see how things are rolling financially, because if this place goes bust and your name is on the bottom line, the money's coming out of your pocket. So being a medical director could be very rewarding. You're in a field where most people are extremely happy. People are coming in, they want to look better, they want to feel better, they want to look more vital and youthful, and you're offering them that opportunity. It's a great, great feeling. But if you do it wrong and you don't follow the proper channels and find out exactly what you could do medical legally, you could wind up in a lot of trouble. I hope you learned a lot of information in this video. Just please do your homework, check things out, know who you're signing up with, and have a good day.